This is the jpeg2RAW podcast. I'm Mike Howard. I'm broadcasting from the basement of Knob Studios here in sunny and hot Atlanta. jpeg2RAW is a photography podcast for the amateur photographer. You can find us on the web at www.knobstudios.com, and you can contact the show by emailing us at podcast@knobstudios.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Flickr, and Twitter by searching for jpeg2RAW, or just follow the links on our website. All right, welcome everybody to jpeg2RAW. This is show number 10, and we have a very special guest on tonight, Ashlee Nicole.
Hello.
Hello, Ashlee.
Hi.
And then I'm your host, Mike Howard, and the co-host, Tim Kemperle, is here with me tonight, too.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome aboard, Ashlee.
Thank you.
So tonight, before we get started, I wanted to cover one thing, get it out of the way before everybody wonders why there's a chair in there. I was talking last week about the chair I used when I was shooting soccer photos, and I couldn't pull it up for whatever reason. This is that chair. It's on not Home Depot, Bass Pro Shops is where I bought it, but I'm sure you can get it other places. And it's very low to the ground, easy to move around. I could actually stick it in the side panel of my camera bag, and once it folds out, it actually swivels. I think this is the one that swivels. I had one like this that swiveled, and it made it be able to go back and forth when I was taking soccer photos very easily. Have you guys ever used anything like this?
No, I didn't, and I'm actually looking it up. And it is something I could use.
It's fairly cheap. I'm going to see if I can see the price. $9.99. Yes, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, shipping is probably more.
Well, yeah, if you don't have a Bass Pro Shop near you, I have a Bass Pro Shop near me. So I am going to go ahead and add where people can actually... Well, I probably don't need to do that yet, but people will be able to see us here in just a second. And we have another person, Eric.
Eric is a really close friend of mine.
Awesome.
So he's actually a photographer as well, and he does amazing stuff. And we're actually going to be working on a lot of projects together. So we're excited about it.
Okay. Yeah, and Kathleen is asking about what will happen with the Skype is it'll move us around as we talk. So, whoever's doing the most talking will move to the top, and who hasn't talked in a while will move to the bottom. But anyway, tonight I wanted to go into news just a little bit. We won't spend much time on news. And if you listened to a few shows back, Tim and I talked about the new Sony camera. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a Nikon fan, but Tim is a Sony user, and I think he's outnumbered tonight.
Probably always will be.
But the good thing about having Sony in there and being a strong competitor is they're going to drive innovation with Nikon and Canon and the other brands, Olympus. So it's good to have them, have Sony there doing that. And one of the things that just drove, which I'm sure Nikon's been working on a while, is Nikon has now released a whole set of mirrorless cameras. Did you read about that, Tim?
Yes, I did. I saw it, and when I saw it, I thought immediately of you because we were talking about it last time. Was anybody else, Canon or Nikon, going to do it? Because right now Sony was doing it, the translucent mirrors, so that they can have focusing through the mirror at the same time without having to worry about it focusing on the video when the mirror's up. Then you'd have to do it manually.
But they went a step further. It's not the same mount. Like with Ashlee and I, we both have, I'm sure, a number of lenses that are that F mount, that Nikon mount. I guess it's F mount, whatever it's called. The Nikon mount, that I don't think will work on these new cameras.
Yeah, Sony's got that also with the, I think it's the NEX series. So they have a different, it's a smaller camera exactly like the Nikon here that you're showing, but it's got a different mount as well. So my lenses would not work on it.
Yeah, it's a smaller mount. I think the crop sensor I read somewhere is like a 2.5, 2.7, something like that. Where if you have a normal Nikon crop sensor, it's a 1.5. I think some of the Canons are 1.3s or something like that. This is a 2.5 or 2.7. And they've got a whole list of accessories and a whole different a whole bunch of different cameras there too. The normal black one, they got a red, a silver, a white, and a pink, and it looks like they have colored lenses to go along with that. So it's a whole lens collection. It obviously is much smaller than your normal DSLR.
I just wonder who they're really trying to target with this. Is it the people going from point and shoot that don't want to make the jump into an SLR camera? Because this is just another camera in between. And I'm thinking people that want to go from a point and shoot are thinking probably of going with the next step, the SLR. So there is probably some room for this. I don't know how much room. I don't know if I'd want it, because if I'm going to carry something this big, I may as well just carry my camera.
Well, that brings up a good point, because and maybe Ashley can help us with this, because I stumbled when I got this question. I got another listener question this week, and I'm wondering, something like this may be that person's solution, because I think people who are coming from a point and shoot and wanting to go a little bit better are a little either naive or shocked, which maybe both, when they find out how much SLRs cost. The lenses, the camera bodies, all that is not a cheap investment. So what this person was asking me is they have 200. Let's see. Let me get the exact camera. I'll read it exactly. I've only had $100 to $150 cameras, and I'm ready to move up to something more serious. What I'm looking for is a camera that has great zoom, can take pictures really fast, like action shots, so I can take about 20 pictures per minute, which I need to do the math to find out what that is per second. I also want a camera that can perform in low light without a flash, running the night shot. I'm not really sure where to start looking, and I know I could Google everything, but I'd rather ask you. I'm ad-libbing there a little bit. I'm looking in the $200 to $500 range, and that was the problem I had, is the $200 to $500 range. So when you're talking 200 to 500, you're still in the point and shoot.
Yeah,
you are.
And I'm not really that familiar with point and shoots that I can help them with that. So I'm gonna have to do some research before I can get them an answer.
Yeah, I was just looking at on B&H at the Sony's, the mirrorless cameras like this, and the lowest is 400, and that's saying used, and then it's 550 and up.
Yeah.
So 550 to about 600.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think they've announced prices, or if they did, I didn't see it on these new Nikons. That may be something for her, but I also don't know what the availability is. When are these a year out? Looks like they're pretty close if these are real models. But it's something I'll need to do a little more research before I can get an answer. I think that is the problem. Is to get everything she talked about is not cheap.
Yeah. What she's looking for, especially like a fast camera where she wants to be able to take action shots, it's like she might as well just save up for a really good camera, because why would you go out, spend the money on a $200 camera and then not be satisfied?
Well, I'm not even sure if you can find a decent point and shoot for $200. That's on the low end of a point and shoot. Now, she said 20 shots a minute. That's one every 3 seconds, which I would think most cameras nowadays could handle.
Yeah. I can't imagine she was meaning 20 a second, because that's not possible without a video camera.
Right.
So anyway, that's the news ahead for tonight. So let's move on into our special guest. And I often am searching the internet, looking for content, looking for questions that people might have, looking for potential guests. And I came across our guest tonight, who is doing something special, and I was very interested in. And then I went and looked at her photos. And when I looked at her photos, I said, wow, this is a talented photographer that I would love to have on the show to not only talk about, there's a lot we could talk about with her, but I wanted to get her on the show. So one of the things I do before I have somebody on the show is I do a pre-interview, make sure we don't have any major issues or whatever. And I intend for those things to last maybe 5-10 minutes. And if you're listening to this and ever want to come on, this is how I standard do it. I interview the person, ask them, is there anything you don't want me to talk about? Is there any like pricing issues or anything like that? Make sure there's no Skype issues or anything. And I looked down at the clock, and Ashley and I had been talking for 45 minutes. Oh, good God, I can't believe I wasted this much of her time. But it was I so enjoyed talking with her, and I could have gone on for a lot longer. So, but I had to end it there because she had something else going on. So, welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And I am going to move us over to your page. Let me full screen this so we can get the page. I did have to turn off your audio, your video, your audio on your page, but I love the sound on there.
Oh, thank you. It's
The
actually
music.
a fellow client of mine. She's a singer-songwriter, and I've done all of her CD release stuff, all of her photos and all of her press work. So she's amazing, and thank you. I'm glad you
Yeah.
liked it.
I did. I really liked it. And what's
I
funny
was
is
very impressed with it. Absolutely.
before you
Oh,
guys all came in, I was playing. I usually play Pandora starting around 7ish, and I had your webpage pulled up, and I was going, "What is going on?" I've got both like Motley Crue and this other sound going on.
this sweet, angelic sound.
I said, that is a weird version of that Motley Crue song." And that's when I realized I had your song going too. But I love the site. The site is very easy to move around. And I'd like to talk a little bit about how you got into photography, because you are a full-time photographer. You're actually our first full-time photographer on the show. We had Philip on show number 2, which he's a part-time professional. He does very good, but you're our first full-time. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to become a full-time photographer?
Well, we'll start off with, I guess, school. I went to school at a place called Full Sail University. Maybe some of you might know it, some might not. I mean, I used to joke around a lot with people telling them I was going to become a sailor and travel the world on a boat, but really the school was a tech school, basically. And what you learned was film, photography, graphic design, show production, web design, like everything that would be in the tech world. So I went there and I graduated in 2008. I did an internship in 2008 as well. And it was with a local photographer there who was very successful and did every kind of shoot. And it was really a great learning experience. And then once I got done with school, I started working for a newspaper. And I did a lot of learning with the newspaper business and enjoyed it a lot. Like, we were always busy, always doing stuff, and it was just a really great time working with everyone. But then when the economy hit and everything, just things went south with the paper, so they let a whole bunch of people go, and unfortunately I was one of them. And after that, I just was like, I need to keep doing what I love, and I need to make myself a business. So in 2009, I started my own business, and then been doing it ever since. And now it's full time. Now it's my job, and I love every second of it, and it's amazing. So that's my background.
Was that a little scary going full-time photographer at first?
Yes. I mean, of course, you have like all the questions like, am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I going to be able to, just keep this going? Or is this not what I'm supposed to do? And, you have so many questions that go through your head. But if you don't try something, you never know how it's going to be or how it will turn out. So with the support of my family and lots of friends, it worked out. And I mean, now look where I am. I'm being a guest host talking about myself and the things that I do and the passion and love that I have for what I do. And I think just having that need to help people and want to help people and have other people succeed in it, because I was so scared starting, is what also helps me keep going. So.
Well, I think the pictures you take get you jobs hired in the future as well. So, I mean, they're just amazing. And it's for somebody that just started out, I'm really impressed.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I did do learning when I was in high school and stuff. So I did not just learn in college. I did always have a love for photography, Like growing up, my mom had a Polaroid camera, and I would always like try and steal it to take pictures, but it was so expensive that I would get in trouble if I ever touched it. But she jokes around with me now, and it's like I couldn't believe like that I didn't see or put that together when you were little. You know, normally you see what your child is really good at and what they'll do in their future, and she just always reflects back on that moment of like yelling at me, telling me not to touch the camera, that it's her camera, and you know, so now I'm the one that takes all the pictures. I'm in charge of all of them. So
how things change.
Now, how did you pick a specialty? How did you pick? You know, what? First, let's ask, what is your specialty? Do you have a specialty thing that you like to photograph?
I think my specialty would be weddings. I just love the day of the wedding. You know, some photographers get really scared of it, and they actually think it's really stressful and that they can't handle it, but I have always been a planner. I've always loved to plan stuff. I love being around people. I love helping people. And I love being the person that could potentially fix the situation if something goes wrong. So as I'm doing the wedding photography, I'm not just your photographer. I'm also like the girl who will like run across the hallway to get something because you left it back, or, you know, I find myself always doing that for my clients, and they just are completely happy, and it just makes the day go a lot better, a lot smoother, a lot more just smiles throughout the day. And yeah, it's pretty, I think that would be my specialty, but I love everything. I mean, of course, you can't just jump into wedding photography. You kind of have to get yourself in it. And starting off with like couples and working with 2 clients at a time, or working with families, has definitely helped me get those pictures at weddings, because I'm able to do big groups and I'm able to do just more an intimate time, because I feel that's really important, is to capture the couple and who they are on their own personal level and stuff, and not try and create something that's not them. So
how did you get your first wedding?
My first wedding that I ever did, that I ever shot, was actually the photographer that I interned for. He called me and was like, I know you interned for me, I know that you started working, but could you come back and be a second shooter for this wedding I'm doing? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Like, you know, it was just a huge opportunity, and I did enjoy working with him. And so it was really cool that I could be that person that he relied so much on, and not this person that was just in the shadows. So it was really cool that he asked me to do that. And that's how I started. I didn't get to keep really any of the photos because they were all belonged to him, but it was how I learned about how to photograph a wedding, and how you always have to have your camera on you, because you don't know what will happen. You don't know if they'll do like a secret corner kiss or something and you want to capture that, or if there's a little girl dancing on the dance floor by herself and spinning around and her dress is like flying in the air. You know, it's like little things like that you want to capture. And I definitely learned that from him, that you have to always be prepared for whatever happens. So.
Well, that's actually the best tip right there. I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, being prepared, because you never know what you need to do and what's going to happen when you're not ready for it. And I've only done one wedding, and it was very stressful. That was a stressful day. Thankfully, it was actually a second reception that the bride's parents wanted to do back on the East Coast. They actually got married out in Vegas, so they wanted to have another reception here, and they asked me just to take pictures at the hall. And they came out great, but boy, was I nervous that night. And
Yeah.
I guess being the second photographer gave you an opportunity to take the pictures and not worry, well, if my pictures don't come out, is it going to ruin the wedding?
Yeah.
You had the other photographers, but at the same time, it gave you a great opportunity to learn.
Yeah, and most most second photographers, how they work is you have the main photographer, and the main photographer will stay with, the bride throughout the whole day, or will stay with the groom throughout the whole day, and then you are basically in charge of photographing all the other stuff that they don't get to photograph. So if they're with the couple, like, you need to be inside taking pictures of the decorations. You can't just be standing outside being like, what do I do? Like, you always need to be moving in weddings. Like, you can never just stop and sit. I mean, you stop and sit when the bride stops and sits. Like, if they're moving, if they're on the go, you're on the go, And I find, like, the only time you sit during a wedding is when everyone is eating, and then you're eating. So that's, like, the only time you really are sitting. So it can be really stressful and can be really hard. But if you really love it and you love just being at weddings and love just the joy that a wedding can have, like, you have to adapt to it and you have to do it, because it really is, like, it's amazing being there and just seeing the love and just how happy people are. Both of you are married, so think back of, like, how happy you were on your day.
I gotta tell you that that day was kind of a blur. I think what happened, I was at the altar and I was on my knees, and that's, they're doing a song or whatever, and for whatever reason, that's when it hit me. Wait, what's going on here? And I looked around. Why am I sitting on my knees? What's going on? And I was just, it was just kind of a blur. I don't know. I respect you guys quite a bit for doing weddings, because that's something that I never planned to do. Ginny from show number 1 I went to her wedding, and she asked me, "Are you bringing your camera?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm bringing my camera, of course." But wait, let's be clear. If I'm driving to your wedding and I find out that your photographers died in a fiery crash to your wedding, and you have no photographer, I'm turning around and going home. There's never a scenario where I am the photographer. I don't, I have a stressful job, but I could not handle that. I just do not want that responsibility. So that is impressive that you're able to handle that, and you seem to actually enjoy it.
I do. Like, I kind of like when, like, one wedding, for instance, like, we're looking at a couple right now, and it was actually their engagement pictures. And I did their wedding as well. And the bride, they're putting on the dress. And, I mean, this dress was, like, a corset style dress. So you have to, like, heave, like, back in, like, the old days, like, in, like, England and in English time, where you have to, like, pull the dress, like, together. And the clasp where you pulled it together, they started popping. And if those start popping, the dress will not stay.
Oh my.
So the only thing you can do is sew it back up. And everyone's like, we don't have a needle and thread, we don't have any clips, we don't have any safety pins. And I go outside to my car, and I actually have a kit. It's like a tool kit, and it has, like, it has, like, hair ties, like, from hair ties and hairspray to, like, super glue and, a needle and a thread. And I go and I grab the needle and the thread, and I go back up there, and I'm like, okay, let me just sew it together. So I just stitched it together, like, real quick. And I said, I think it's going to stay, but don't move a whole lot. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, like, happens, and you just have to be the person that's like, okay, either I fix it, which is more like probably me, or you find somebody to fix it. I mean, there has to be somebody around who is prepared. I mean, most of the maids of honors of the brides are always prepared. They always have everything, anything that can go wrong, and so.
But that's the maids of honor. You were the photographer there, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that most people would turn to the photographer and look for help in that. I got to imagine that not only did they walk away with great photos and love their photos, but they also had that story to tell, and they probably told a number of people. So while that was not part of the job description, that little side bit probably is going to help you get business in the future. That is amazing. That's awesome. So just so we can get it on audio, somebody out in chat asked, what lenses do you normally use for a wedding?
Okay. I kind of tried to answer it, but I have 3 lenses. I actually own 2 zoom lens, and one of them is the Nikon, and I believe it's it's a 55-200, and that one I use mainly during ceremonies, and actually that's pretty much all that I use it for, because it can zoom in really, really close, so I don't have to be like in the crowd to get that picture of them exchanging the rings, or that closer up picture of her like crying with her tears, So that lens is like amazing, and I always have that on my camera when I'm doing a ceremony. But then I also own, which was the first lens that I ever bought, and it's a Tamron lens. So I do own other lenses other than Nikon. So the Tamron lens is actually an 18-300. So it goes really, really zoomed in, and it does really nice wide shots for me. So that I'll use when I'm doing more of a wide shot of the area, like trying to get the whole venue, or just a wide shot of like the wedding party. But my main lens that I use for almost everything, for like all the little details and for all of the portraits, is a 50mm lens, and it's a 1.4, and it's made by Nikon, and I love it. I use it all the time, and I'm actually looking into getting the 105 by Nikon, because I've been told that it's just as great, but it's a little bit more zoomed in, which will be nice for some more shots.
I have the 51.8, and I love that, and the 1.4 would just be awesome. 85 is another good one. 85 1.8. The 1.4 is pretty expensive, but the 1.8 is decent. And then I love the camera you have. She's a Nikon guy, Tim. Nikon lady. Sorry. Nikon
I
lady.
know. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize for that. Nikon's awesome.
I had a lot of Minolta lenses, so it was an easy switch for me to go to Sony.
But you have the Nikon D700, don't you?
Yes, I do.
That's an awesome camera. So I got another photo pulled up, and this one was interesting. This is imagine this is another engagement.
Yeah, it's actually the same couple, but from the photo that I was talking about with their wedding and stuff, and their engagement shoot, they wanted to do a whole lot, and I was just up for it. I mean, I think we spent the whole day together, like from 10 o'clock in the morning till sunset, and this picture was taken around sunset time. And what they did was they took the 2 colors that they were going to have at their wedding, and they decided to have a paint fight. And they actually used this as like their invitation, so people could see the colors, and then it was going to be more of a fun wedding, that it wasn't going to be this very traditional casual wedding. And I mean, it was just so much fun taking all the pictures. We went out to some field, and I felt so bad because when we left the field, you just see all this paint everywhere. Like, it's everywhere. They were running around, and even took like.
Don't worry, it was biodegradable.
Oops.
We know.
We just lost Ashlee.
She's frozen on the screen.
Yeah. Why am I getting Tim Kemperle? So let me see if we can get Ashlee. Here she comes.
I'm here.
Yeah. I noticed you were starting to have a little bit of problem before you cut out. It looked like we were having a little bit of bandwidth problem there. But Ashlee's back. Okay.
I'm here.
So this couple, you spent the entire day with them.
Yeah.
What is your normal engagement shoot? How long does it normally last?
A normal engagement shoot will do about 2 hours. And that's just so we normally do 3 outfits is what we offer. We tell them, okay, you can bring 3 outfits, bring one that is strictly like you guys. If you love being in t-shirts and jeans, like come with t-shirts and jeans. And then bring like 2 outfits. Like we always try and say like 1 outfit of the 2 with your colors and stuff, and that will be more of like your invites that you send out or save the date or something like that. And then we always try and do like a really nice, more dressed up look, and that normally takes about 2 hours and stuff. So
do you normally do it on location, or do you have a studio, or what are you doing?
I mean, we do have like a studio and studio lighting and stuff that we have here at my house, but most of them want to do them on location. Like when you're doing engagement pictures, you more like want to create like a scenery, unless you're trying to do like a specific style of photograph for your save the date. Like I have done where they wanted to do like a photo booth style, like, you know, the old school 1 strip photo booth style, and they wanted to have like their pictures, like goofy pictures, and have it say save the date and then the date at the bottom. And so we did that in a studio. They just came and they wore like their outfit that they wanted to wear, and we just took like maybe 20 pictures, and then they got to pick from that. And that's what they wanted to do. But then I also told them that we could do like a shoot outside of the studio, and they just decided that that was enough, that that's all that they really wanted to do. So that's what we did. So, but most of them want to go out to maybe like a beach or a field, or, you know, to a park, or, you know.
So are most of them coming to you with their ideas, or are you having to come up with the ideas?
Some of them will have their ideas. Some of them will, I mean, most brides these days they know what they want, and they know like how they want it, and they actually do a lot of research on photos and on photographers. So sometimes we'll even get them to come and will show us a picture, and they're like, this is what we want. So then it's our job to find that location that we can do it at, find that, you know, the best way, like how it was lighted and everything like that. So sometimes that actually happens, and I mean, we do it because it's what the client wants. You know, I've always believed that you please the client, but I always try and do like maybe a different angle or something different to make it different, so it doesn't look like we exactly copied that photo.
Yeah. So. One thing you just mentioned there, you said we try and find. So
I was just going to ask that. How many people do you have working for you?
Well, actually, we have one of my interns. She's on here on the chat. So Alicia. So she's one of my interns, and then I also have an intern. Her name is Kristen, and then I have a second shooter, and her name is April. And all of them are fantastic. They all have been inspired to start their own business, and I support them like 100% on it. And it's just amazing to see like how they grow and how they're learning, and how, you know, being with me is helping them inspire to do more weddings and to do more engagements, and it's not just to stay with portraits, you know. So that's really cool and a lot of fun.
Well, that's also very good at your supportive of them going out and doing their own thing.
Yeah. I know, as they're a part of like my company and stuff, when they're working with me, they work with me. But outside of it, I do want them to do their own stuff. I mean, I don't feel like when I was interning, I didn't do anything else. I just interned for him. I went to school, and all I did was I interned for him. And I kind of wish that I maybe started or did something with myself, like outside of it. But it was just like not having a camera and not, you know, having that ability to be able to take pictures outside of being around him. So just because they are my intern doesn't mean that they can't work, you know, right, and they can't try and do other stuff. Whereas some other photographers, they may argue with that and they may feel like, no, they're your intern, they have to work for you, they can't do anything else. Like, aren't you afraid that they'll like just quit on you? And it's like, no, like that's why there's that loyalty, and I do have contracts with them. And, you know, if anything like that did happen, then it's like, okay, it happened, you learn from it, and you got to move on.
Right.
Well, are you worried about them cannibalizing your business, ultimately?
No, because I mean, I've had this conversation with Mike before, and I don't feel like I have any like competition or anyone to like overcome me, because my photography is different from somebody else's photography. I feel like all of us photographers, we're all different in our own way. Yeah, we may do weddings, and yeah, we may all do maternity pictures, but I mean, I feel like in the world, like we should all be together, and we should all learn from each other, and we should all be inspired by each other. And if one of us like loves the photo shoot that you did, then why not try and do something similar to it? Or, you know, because I mean, my clients come to me and ask that, so why can't we do that, you know? So
I think it's great. And I mean, you'd said before you started this business during the point when the economy went down, and in actuality, people are still always getting married. And I don't know, did you come in as a lower cost provider versus some other photographers are out there? But people are always getting married. They're always looking for a photographer. So
yeah.
they want pictures. I know that was one of the most, actually that was the most important part of my wedding. It wasn't a video. I didn't even want a video. My wife talked me into it. I love it now, but I knew the photographer I wanted before I even proposed to my wife.
Yeah, and it's exactly how it is now. You know, like people search for photographers. I mean, I am engaged myself, and as a photographer, you know, everyone asks you like, who's gonna photograph your wedding? Like that's gonna be a huge job, whoever has that. And I mean, I've been searching for years on who I would want to photograph, and like I like subscribe to people's blogs just so I can see like how they grow and what they're gonna turn into. And it's like, yes, I'm gonna be just as critical as everybody else when it comes to my photographer, because that's how you remember it.
That's right.
I mean, like you said, Mike, it was all a blur.
It is.
That's how it is for everyone. It's a blur for everyone. But getting those photos or that video, and I mean, that's how you relive it. That's exactly how you relive it.
It is. You know, like Tim said, is the photos are one of the most important parts of the wedding, because, you know, I went back and looked at the photos afterwards. It's like, wow, I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that. There was so much of that. And of course, as you know, there's things going on that last day if you're having a traditional wedding where the bride and groom aren't seeing each other. Right. So, you know, I got to see all of that. She got to see what we were doing.
Right, I got to see what my wife did beforehand. But sadly, I look at the pictures now, and it's only 14 years ago, but boy, I look a lot different. I look a lot older than I did back then.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that.
It's okay.
But so, you know, I would imagine that weddings are somewhat seasonal.
They are. For Florida, the ideal time for you to get married is, of course, like now. Like from now until March is like the ideal time. And then after that, it's like you do have a lot of weddings, because it's the people who want to get married in the spring, and the people who want to have like all the flowers and all the floral arrangements and everything. I mean, you will have a good group of people who want to get married during the summer or the spring, but the busiest time for us down here in Florida is now. It's, you know, because it's getting just a little bit cooler. It's a little bit easier to be like have an outside wedding. And when you have a wedding in Florida, like, of course, you're going to try and have it outside. I mean, right. It's just gorgeous. So. And
in the summer, you got to worry about the afternoon showers. So, this is a better time.
And the heat.
Yes.
so if that's the case, I imagine most people also have their weddings on the weekend.
Yes.
So your time frame is fairly limited. It's both on the weekend and a certain section of the year.
Yeah.
How do you manage getting new clients and stacking them up so you get your maximum busy during that time?
Well, luckily, I haven't yet been double booked yet. But in December, I do have a wedding that is like back to back. And one of them is here local and one of them is in Kentucky. And it's like a huge thing, like, you know, you don't want to turn the client away, but I did have to inform them, like, well, your wedding is on a Sunday and it's in Kentucky. I have a wedding here in Florida that's on that Saturday.
Holy moly.
So, you know, you tell them and they're like, well, how could we work this out? So I tell them, I'm like, well, you know, the wedding is ending at like 10 o'clock. I could always catch a flight around midnight or maybe early next morning and I could be there. And most of the time, like the client was like, would you really do that? And I was like, yeah, like if you want me out of all the photographers to be your photographer, like, yes, I will fly up there at midnight or early in the morning to come photograph your wedding, you know?
With all your shooters.
Well, how many people do you shoot with?
Yeah,
You don't bring all four of you.
Yeah. Well, actually, with something like that, I probably would just only bring one of us and stuff. I wouldn't bring all four of us.
So normally you go with all four?
Normally, there's all four of us. If it's
Wow.
here, like in Florida, or if it's like in a state close by to Florida where maybe we could drive and we wouldn't have to fly, I mean, all of us go. All four of us. We come walking in there and everyone just kind of looks at us because we got all of our camera bags and like our stools, and they just like look at us and they're just like, those are the photographers. And it's really funny, but I mean, every single one of the girls has a job. I mean, Mike didn't mention, but we don't just do photography. We also do video. I mean, I did go to film
Okay, so
school.
you're doing both sides of it.
Yeah. And most of the time, you'll see it will be like me, like my clients will see I have two cameras, and, you know, I have my D700, and then I'll have another camera that I shoot video with, which is the 3100. So, or is it the 3? No, it's the 5000. I just got really confused because our other intern, she also will shoot video as well. So if I can't shoot the video, she'll shoot it for me, and she shoots with the 3100, I think. Alicia's on here. She could tell us what she has. I don't remember what she has, but that's her. She's the one that does it. So
now is that their own equipment, or do you provide them with equipment?
that all of their cameras that they use, it's their cameras. Maybe in the future, I mean, like, I've only been in operation now for about 3 years, like, on my own. And it's already been, like, a challenge to have all of my own equipment, like all the studio and stuff like that. So eventually down the line, I would love to just have all of my own equipment and have them use all of my stuff. But I find that having them use their stuff, they take more care of it, and they actually will be more protective over it. And, you know, that's always like a huge fear for anybody. It's like,
And I imagine they probably know their camera better than if you were to hand them a camera they hadn't used before. Although, you know, Nikons are pretty similar. And she's saying that she uses a Nikon D5000.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Well, and I think it's also a benefit of them having their own equipment versus you. If you buy it, you're going to spend the money now, but now 2 years down the road, are you going to buy all new equipment?
Yeah.
Probably not. But if they have their own, will they want to upgrade? They may want to upgrade themselves. So
Right.
you actually might have a great model there.
Yeah.
So that's another Nikon shooter, Tim.
Yes, I noticed. I'll
Eric
promote
is,
that.
Eric's a Nikon shooter as well.
Oh
but-
my gosh, that's three. That's four
Actually,
of
I
us.
thought there were more Canon people out there than Nikon. I'm actually surprised how many Nikon. Even when I was on vacation down in Florida over the summer, I couldn't believe how many people were shooting with Nikon.
Nobody uses Canon anymore. They stopped selling them.
Yeah,
No, actually, I think
I'd like to believe that.
I think Kathleen. Oh my.
Oh, look, all of these Nikon people.
I think Kathleen's actually a Canon shooter. If she's still
Yeah.
out there, yeah, she's
Yep,
Canon.
she's there.
So, actually, do you? I don't want to talk just about weddings, and we need to get into your other topic before the show ends.
Yeah,
Do you-
I saw that somebody asked that question.
Yeah, so
Somebody asked, did you just shoot weddings? And no, I shoot everything. I mean, like on my website, it's not just weddings and engagements. I mean, I also do have families and I have portraits. And so I shoot everything. Like the song that's on my website, I shot all of her press stuff. So like doing all of her album covers and all of her like posters and stuff like that. So I shoot everything, and I do families, and I've just been getting into kids and maternity and that kind of stuff. So that's been a lot of fun, and I love having fun with the kids and stuff. So
that's got to be more of a challenge than weddings, though.
Yeah, I mean, the kids are a challenge, but here's another really good tip, and I actually shared this on the group that we're a part of. And because there was a question about like, how do you handle with kids, like da da da, and I said I honestly let the kid control the photo shoot. I mean, and I know that sounds weird. It's like, okay, why would you let the kid control the photo shoot? But if I was to go up to a kid and I plant them in a spot and I would be like, okay, look at me and smile, they're not going to look at you and smile. They're going to be like, what? Huh? Like, you know, and maybe you'll get some more pictures like that. Or maybe when it's like an older kid, they will look at you and they'll smile, but it may not be like that perfect picture that you want. So when I first see the kids, I always like greet them and say, hi, like, how's it going? And I show them my camera. And I'm like, look, like, this is today what we're going to be able to play with today, but I'm going to be playing with it, and then maybe later after you do all of your pictures, I'll let
when
you
you're 25 years old.
Yeah. Well, actually, the kid that you're showing right now, his name is Hayden, and he is adorable, and I actually let him take a picture of me. He did such an amazing job that I was like, okay, you can take a picture. And like I put it around his neck, and his mom was like holding the back of it to make sure, you know, he was holding it. And he took a picture of me, and it was actually a really good picture. Like, he did a really good job. But it's like, I mean, you gotta have more fun with the kids. You have to show them that it's not like a forced thing, because I remember going when I was younger and going to get my picture taken. I hated it. My mom would sit here and make me curl my hair. She would make me get all dressed up, and then I had to sit in the car ride until we got there, and then I had to sit and wait for my turn to take my picture, and then I had to sit in front of this person who's shaking this doll trying to get me to smile. And I'm like, do you understand like what I've gone through today? Like, I'm 5 years old, and I've already been through a lot where I have to now sit in front of the camera and take a picture and smile, you know. So I definitely try and make it more fun for the kid. Like, you know, I try and involve stuff that they like. You know, I always ask, you know, the client, you know, what does the kid like to do? What are his favorite things? And, you know, like, for instance, this picture we're looking at, Hayden, he loves to eat. And I was like, you know, I've always wanted to do like one of those watermelon pictures, or, you know, I mean, and for his first birthday, we did a cupcake picture, and he shoved the cupcake in his mouth and then put his hands out and went like this, like that he was all messy, and did the cutest face ever. And it's like, I feel like when you work more with the kids, like, you're gonna get those pictures that you really want. And like, the mom will go back and she'll be like, oh my gosh, like, those are the cutest pictures in the world. Like, I would have never been able to get this in a studio, you know. And that's what they're looking for, you know.
I think the day of going to a studio, there's still, I guess Walmart kind of does it now, but there used to be like Olin Mills and those kind of places. I think they are people are going to them fewer and fewer. They're finding, you know, a local photographer that is really good and going to that person instead. You know, looking at this photo, I mean, like you said, you would never get anything like this going to Walmart.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, you probably pay a little more coming to you, but the quality is going to be well worth it.
Right.
You know, you're just not going to get that. And you not only did you get him with the watermelon, but I love how he's looking up with his eyes. I mean, that's like awesome timing. Did y'all trick him, or did he just happen to look up
His
there?
mom was standing next to me, and his mom was like, actually, I think telling him to like smile or something. And me, I had just a really fast shutter for it when we were taking all of these pictures, and I just like kept going, and I was just like hoping for maybe like a good picture like that, and it came out perfect. So having definitely like the fast shutter where I was able to take multiple pictures definitely helped in capturing this picture.
Whoa, we just lost Ashlee again, and I was just about to ask her the key question.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we got you back now.
We got you back.
So I was about to ask you the key question I ask every photographer on here,
Okay.
and you know what that is, and I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. JPEG or RAW? And there's no wrong answer.
I told you I shoot with JPEG.
Okay.
But I do have like some clients, like the girl that I did like poster size work for her, I did shoot on RAW because I didn't know what she would necessarily need it for, and I just wanted to make sure she had those photos, 100%.
Yeah. Well, you probably don't make some of the same mistakes I make, where RAW really helps you out, because I generally shoot with my white balance preset. I don't go in auto white balance, and that is, I like it that way, but it's also cost me sometimes when I've gone out, come back, and all my shots are blue because I had the wrong white balance setting, and RAW makes it so easy to recover.
Right.
But we've gone over that a ton. I don't need to harp on that again this show. So another question with this photo is, do you normally shoot with lights, with flash or strobes or anything like that, or is it all natural with reflectors, or what are you doing? Because the light in here looks incredible.
I actually don't use any reflectors or anything like that, believe it or not. Like
So how are you?
It sounds like really crazy.
Yeah, maybe it's the camera, because wow, I mean, your pictures are great.
I told you Nikon is awesome.
Oh God, I spoke. Oh,
it's not the camera; it's the photographer. So, but with that, like looking at this image here, I mean, there's almost no shadows. I mean, his eyes are like in perfect.
Yeah.
There's light and everything. It just looks awesome.
I have learned that if you're not going to work with reflectors, and if you're not going to work with, trying to diffuse the natural light, like having, like a silk or something, like go over the sun to create a softer look, because to me that just, it just adds, like when you're doing kid photography, it just adds way too much. Like it's more personal when it's just you and your camera. You're going to get more pictures out of it and stuff. And this was actually shot around, I want to say like around 5-6 o'clock. So it's when the sun is not really strong. It's not like beaming down on you, and it's not this really, really bright sun. It's more of like a diffused sun. So that's what creates like not having a whole lot of like contrast in the light. But as far as in like not having any shadows and stuff like that, it's all based on where you position him. If I would have positioned him, this is actually where it was taken is Creation State Park, and at Creation State Park what they have are these houses that are actually like owned by the government, and they're actually, they can't really be touched with or anything. They just sit on this property, and now it's like a park, and you can go there and learn about all of the houses and where they came from, and they're like one of the first houses that were put in this area where we live. And they let you go on the outside of the houses, and they let you stand on them, but you can't go inside. Like inside, it's all set up to like as like a house would be, but there's glass on the windows and there's glass on the door, so you can't even go inside. And this one had like a porch where there was like an overhang of a porch, so I positioned him underneath the porch, which also added like a diffuser of all the light. And then I just made sure that I had like my ISO, and I made sure that my f-stop was all good for having this type of light and stuff. And I think having, you know, a good quality grade camera and a camera where I can alter, you know, the ISO and I can alter, you know, my f-stop and my shutter speed allows me to capture that photo perfectly, you know?
Yeah, Tim's son's joined us.
Yes, he's saying good night. Good night.
Oh, that's adorable.
And you know, that obviously takes some skill. So you know, the camera's helping you, but knowing how to do all that takes some skill. You know,
Yeah.
That's
And
very
that's
important.
definitely something that I teach, you know, my girls, and I teach the people that take the workshops is it's all about where you position someone. You know, like one of the ladies that I'm teaching right now, I just did a maternity shoot with her, and we did some pictures outside, and I'm positioning her, and she was kind of getting like why I was positioning her here, and she actually pointed out, like, okay, like that sun is kind of like hitting my eye a little. Like, are you sure you don't want me to scoot over just like a step, because then I won't have that in my eye, you know? And it's really about like just pushing that person over one step to the left or one step to the right can make a huge difference in the photo. And to always take test shots. I mean, I let my clients know all the time, okay, I'm going to take a test shot right now so you guys can like talk or just hang out. I just want to make sure I get the lighting right. And they know that like I'm doing that and like I won't use that picture and stuff. So, and then once I get the lighting perfect, I just go, okay, we're ready. Like, let's go. Let's take some pictures, you know?
You know, other than my lack of creativity, another problem I have is I'm usually impatient, and you know, so for me, I think that's a good tip, a good thing to think about is to slow down. If you're not as talented and just know the stuff like Ashlee does, you know, slow down and look at what you're doing, take some of those test shots, and really look at the back of the camera. And you know, I've often taken a test shot, yep, good, and just keep going. I didn't really look at it; it really wasn't that good, and I just kept going, and then wonder why they're all crap. So it's slow
Which
down.
most cameras now, you know, like my camera, I actually have it turned off where it will like auto view. Well, it will let you view the picture like right after you took it. And I actually take it off because it allows me to take a little bit faster pictures that I've noticed. Because when it's trying to auto view and I'm trying to take a picture when it's auto viewing, it's like, okay, no, wait, we're not ready yet, you know, so.
Really, I would have thought the camera would override any of the auto view if you needed to take another shot.
It does. Most of the time it does, but it still is not, you still have like a second where it's like, you know, it does take away from the time. And when you're working with a child that, I mean, you could miss it. You could really miss it. And so I don't do it on auto view. I actually take like 4 or 5 pictures and then I'll view. Like I'll go and hit play and I'll view the picture, and if it comes out good, I'm like, okay, great. And if it comes out bad, I'm like, okay, let's try that one more time. And then I will do it again until I have it right.
So, you know, we're getting close to the end of the show here, and you mentioned something that I wanted to go on next.
Okay.
Is I think you said something about workshops and training. Yeah. Don't you all? That's what made me first notice you. You should have posted something on Facebook about a training thing you have coming up or something. Tell me more about that.
Yep, I actually host private workshops for anyone who wants to learn. And I do one once a month, and it's free. And then I also do private lessons, which I have like a whole package set up where we focus on things that you would love to learn more on, or if you would love to learn how I work with my client, or even I get into the paperwork, because I know that's one thing that people always question about is like, how do I come up with my contract, or how do I do a license agreement for this, you know? And I was taught all of that in school. So it's like, why wouldn't I share what I was gifted by being able to go to school and being able to pay for school? You know, why wouldn't I share that with somebody else? You know, because I want to make sure that everyone is running their business. I mean, the economy is so bad that it's like you kind of have to own your own business. You know?
So you're not teaching people like Tim and I. You're teaching other professional photographers who went out there and starting their business?
Well, and I also like the lady that is taking private classes with me right now. She actually does not want to be a professional photographer.
Okay.
She actually just wants to be able to take good pictures of her kids. You know, just be able to go, to Disney World and be able to take amazing pictures, or be able to go to the zoo and get good pictures of her kids playing with animals and stuff. So I'm focusing more like her lessons on where to position and lighting and how to actually use her camera, because she was never taught how to use it. She has that auto, where like my camera, it doesn't have auto. I kind of
mine either.
I had to learn everything on it, but hers has auto, and she's shot auto on it, and she doesn't get the pictures that she wants. And I'm like, okay, well, let me teach you how to use your camera. And maybe, she probably won't do it when she's at the parks and stuff like that. Being a mom and also taking pictures of like your kid running around, that could kind of be a little bit hard. So she probably will have it on auto. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think, if you're going to stay in auto, it's just so hard to learn because the camera's doing so much work. Moving into something like aperture priority is one of the easiest ones for me, at least. I move into aperture priority, and that, is kind of an auto. You set the aperture, and then everything else is auto for you.
I'm trying to get you to go to manual.
Yeah, I don't do manual too well. No.
I love manual.
I started about a year ago, and that's majority what I shoot in now.
Really, that still just impresses me because, now I'm not auto ISO. I have auto ISO set to the lowest I can get a reasonable shutter speed for. And then, aperture, set the aperture so the only thing moving around is the shutter speed. And you do have to pay attention. If you're going to go with that, you got to pay attention, because if you were there taking photos of the kids, and your shutter speed got down to 1/100 or something like that, unless they're holding very still, you're probably not going to stop the action. So you got to watch that. And another thing, I've been thinking recently, maybe that's what I need to do, is take a workshop, because that's an awesome thing. I listen to some other podcasts, and there's that's a good way for photographers to supplement their income. Although it sounds like you're doing yours free, you might want to charge for those.
Yeah.
It's a good way
to... the once a week classes are really just like us getting together and having a discussion. It's not one-on-one. Okay. And then at the end of every session, we talk about one-on-one classes and stuff. And each month is a different thing that we focus on. And we try not go too detailed into it, because in that way it helps with the one-on-one classes and it helps more me. But I just love helping people figure out their camera and just figuring it out, because, I was gifted with being able to learn it, someone taught me, so why can't I teach someone?
Yeah, I think for me, that would probably do more for my photography, is to take a workshop than to go out and buy another lens.
Right.
I agree. Yes, absolutely.
Because, at the end of the day, I get that next lens, the guy behind the camera is still the same person.
Yeah.
So, taking a workshop is probably a good thing to do.
Yeah, and several people host workshops, and they're all over. I do one here in Florida, but they're everywhere. There's photography workshops everywhere.
And lots of different types. If you want wildlife, landscape, all those kind of different things. Probably any type of photography you're into, you can find somebody doing a workshop. A good photographer doing a workshop. So one more question is,
sure.
You take all these photos, you come back, and how are you editing them? Are you using?
That was my question.
Oh, sorry, Tim.
You keep taking my questions.
Sorry, Tim. Are you using Photoshop, Aperture, Lightroom? What are you using?
I actually own both Lightroom and Photoshop, and I have CS5. Yep. For everyone who wants to know what Photoshop I own. But CS5, and I actually do most of my editing in Lightroom. I feel that Lightroom gives me more control over the photo, and it's a little bit easier for me to actually do quick editing. Where like in Photoshop, it's very meticulous, and you can only really work with one photo at a time. Where like in Lightroom, it offers that option to copy everything that you want to copy that you did in that photo and then paste it onto your next image. And doing wedding photography, that's something that you look to do because a lot of your ceremony pictures, you kind of all want to look the same. A lot of your reception pictures, you all want to look the same. So it actually cuts.
And the lighting is the same one picture to the next usually.
Yeah. So a lot, and if anything, it's just minor adjustments, you know, just like little minor adjustments here and there. And it actually cuts your editing time like in half, which allows me to not charge my clients so much in editing time because I don't spend a whole lot of editing time with it. And it also allows me to give the clients their photos a lot sooner and makes them even happier.
Do you take advantage of the presets?
I used to a lot, but I actually have created my own presets based on seeing pictures and being like, oh, I would kind of like to create something like that, or, you know, so seeing the presets definitely made me want to do more of a unique style of editing and maybe, you know, blow out a little bit of a kid's face because it might make the picture stand out a little bit more or something, you know. And I love all the presets that I see everyone using and stuff, but I feel like as a person who wants to teach people, that's something that I need to continue to challenge myself, and I need to learn how to do, and I need to be good at it, you know, because I may have that one person that comes to a workshop and asks me, well, how do you do presets in Lightroom, or how do you create your own? And I have to be there to be like, oh, I know how, you know, because they're coming to me because they think I know all. So
I'm just getting, I don't know about you, Tim. I've used some of the built-in presets, and I'm just getting into building my own. They're really easy to build your own. And
I haven't built any of my own yet.
What I find is some basic stuff I do to almost every image. You know, the clarity slider and the vibrant slider, some baseline stuff that I do to almost every image. So I just set up a preset for that, and now I think you can even have it do that adjustment on import if you wanted to.
You can actually.
And,
which is amazing.
and so let's say it does that, and you go, oh, that's, you know, that did not work for that image. It's really easy to back it off then too.
Yep.
Well, that's what I love about Lightroom. It's non-destructive.
We'll someday get actually to go full RAW, but I guess if you're doing a lot of photos, if you're taking a lot of photos at a wedding, that you definitely don't want to make. You would definitely want to make sure you don't run out of card space.
Yeah.
Well, how many pictures do you take at a wedding?
I actually have 3 cards. I have an 8 gig, and then I have 2 4 gigs. And I actually use the whole 8 gig, and then I also use half of the 4 gig. So, I mean, I take lots of pictures. Like, that's almost, like, close to, like, almost 3,000 pictures.
Holy.
At one wedding.
I don't use all of them.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of them are doubles, triples of an image. But, I mean, I try and get as many pictures as I can. And so I take a lot of pictures of, you know, all the stuff before. And I do multiple pictures of, like, her dress and multiple pictures of the shoes and stuff. So it's not just, like, one picture of the shoe, good, we're go, let's move on. Or one picture of the dress, good, we're go, let's move on.
Right.
You know, like, I try and capture as much as I can because I don't know if the client will like that particular image. I may love it and think it's amazing, but I try and give them a little bit of an option. Not a whole lot, but a little.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
well, as they're pointing out in chat, there, you got to take all those pictures. You said you have a couple of doubles and triples, but you know, one of those might have been the person that blinked their eyes. So now you got the picture of the person with the nice expression.
And you know, 3,000 images at a wedding is not that crazy. I would shoot 300-400 at one soccer game.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's not nearly as important.
Yeah, I find that I am a little bit clicker happy.
Yeah, but you know, it's digital. Shoot away. Well, actually, we need to go ahead and end the show. And, you know, like I told you, I don't know for you, the hour just goes by so fast.
It does.
So we would love to have you on again some other time. And there's another project you have going on that, you know, we need to have you out here at some point to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we kind of have already created some more new topics already, so
Yeah. So
I would love to be on.
you're a wonderful guest. I really enjoyed talking with you. And anybody out in chat, or if you listen to this later, you haven't gone check out Ashlee's website. What's your website address?
It's AshleeNicolePhoto.com.
And we'll have it in the show notes. So go out there and check out Ashlee's photos. She's a wonderful photographer.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming out.
I was very impressed when I saw
thank you. I appreciate it, both of you. It means a lot that you guys think I'm amazing.
So that ends the official show.
Yeah.
And now we can, if you have a few more minutes, we can maybe hang out and chat and answer any questions.
Sure.
That they may have. And just whenever you need to go, just let us know. We don't go too much over the show. You are having a little bit of connection issues there.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I have no idea what was going on.
Now, are you, what kind of internet connection do you have?
I do have a wireless connection, and maybe the next time I can hook it up so it's not wireless.
That wasn't bad for wireless. Actually, I would have thought it'd be worse.
Yeah.
My experience with wireless is that over time, it just can't handle the bandwidth. It handles burst, but then, it doesn't handle it. But, the fortunate thing is that a few times we lost you, you came back really quick.
Yeah.
I did notice that there was some lag in your, your mouth, the sync, the audio video sync.
Yeah.
Right. I saw it in Skype near the end.
Yeah, but that's all right.
Yeah. I wasn't watching the video at all, so.
No, I will tell you that one thing by having you on and you talking really helped me be able to watch some of the chat and do some of the other things.
Good. I'm glad.
That really helps because it is difficult, like in your case where you're doing a lot of the talking, it's difficult to see all the other stuff that's going on, to see who's asking you stuff in chat, and if you have to work with the photos over here.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's any photos that I did not show here. I just tried to move around.
You did a pretty good job.
You have so many wonderful photos.
Yeah. It would have been, there is like a portrait section.
I don't want to use everything in one show. What am I going to bring you back for?
Okay.
I got to leave some stuff so I can have you come back.
Definitely.
Ashlee, there is a question out there on your camera and lenses that you use.
Okay. The camera that I shoot with, as in like the photos and stuff, I use a D700. It's made by Nikon. And then the lenses that I have for that camera is a Nikon 50mm 1.4. And then I also have a Tamron 18 to 300 millimeter. And then I also have a Nikon 55 to 200 millimeter zoom. And then I also shoot video on a Nikon D5000.
So you're shooting I guess maybe you said that in the show and I didn't pick that up, but you're shooting a video on a D5000?
Yep.
I didn't catch that before either. I'm surprised.
Is that autofocus? Or I remember the early on DSLRs that had a video did not autofocus. Does that one autofocus?
Yeah, it does have autofocus on it.
When it's doing video?
But see, like, we don't really do the autofocus on video. Okay. Like, the way that we capture video is we actually put the video all the way out of focus. Like, so it's out of focus, and then we'll start shooting, and then as we're shooting, we'll put it back in focus. And then the way we'll, like, take it back out, like, so we do clips.
Okay.
It's, like, basically what we do, and then we go back and we edit it all together. And then when we go, like, when it's in focus, then we'll take it back out of focus. And this just helps to create a good start point and a good end point for, and when you're putting them all together, it actually creates a more flow of it. And I actually have, like, a couple videos, so maybe, like, our next session that we do or something, we could pull up a couple of the videos and you can just see how it goes from out of focus to in focus, and it kind of creates more like for the weddings and stuff. It's more like an angelic like style of, you know, videotaping it and stuff. So
yeah, that's awesome. I have the Nikon D2X, and that's before they put video in there. But the video quality I've seen from these DSLRs are just awesome.
yeah,
Well, that's why I'm considering changing to the A77 from Sony, because I would like to have the opportunity for video versus carrying my separate video camera with me all the time.
yeah.
So is April one of your shooters also?
She's actually my second shooter, and she just got in to talk to us. So
Too bad she missed most of the show.
I know.
Ashley,
It's okay.
Ashley, there is a question up top that's about to roll over the top. What advice would you give photographers who are trying to learn shooting manual on their own?
To definitely, my one piece of advice is to not get frustrated. I mean, it's not easy for anyone. I mean, it wasn't easy for me, and I went 2 years in school. I mean, like, it's not easy for everyone. You just really have to try and learn, like, what you're trying to capture. I mean, there's going to be different settings if you're doing a more, like, wide shot, like, trying to capture, like, I mean, like, landscape, and there's going to be a different setting when you're trying to do, like, portraits with skin tones and stuff. And it's just important to know the situation and to know, like, the lighting that you're going to be in. Because if you know the lighting that you're going to be in, it's going to be easier to control what ISO you should have. It's going to be easier to control, you know, what f-stop you should be shooting at and stuff. And that's something that I was taught in school. So,
Well, the next question that came up is right along with that, and I was thinking of it. What are you doing with your ISO? Are you shooting white balance? I should say, not ISO. Are you shooting auto white balance, or are you using a gray card?
I was taught with a gray card, and I was actually taught with a metering tool as well. And my professors would get so mad at me but I shoot on auto. And I feel like if I have to do any auto, like, correcting from the auto white balance, I can always do it in post. And I do understand that that can create, like, some difficulties when you're shooting in manual. But that's why most cameras give you the option if you're doing it in sunlight, or if you're doing it in tungsten, or if you're doing it in, you know, incandescent, you know. If you know the type of lighting that you're going to be in, then put it on that, take a picture and see if it works better. If it doesn't work better, then put it back on auto, you know. Like, you need to experiment with your camera. You need to experiment with the type of scenarios.
That's the one thing I have not experimented really with, is the white balance setting. I'll dabble in it here and there, and I know Mike will always take a gray card with him, and he always puts the shot up there of somebody holding the gray card before he starts taking his pictures. And I'm definitely gonna do it. I'm at least gonna try it, because I also use Lightroom, and I use RAW pictures, so I can always change it very easily afterwards in post-processing.
Yeah, I mean, some people will stress so much on white balance and, like, how you have to white balance. And if you're not white balancing, you're not a professional. And it's like, I mean, then why did they create post-production? Why did they create that? Like, why do we have post-production if there's nothing to correct? If we can go out and capture that picture exactly how we want to, then why is there post-production? You know? Yeah,
you know, talking about Lightroom and, you know, my mistakes with white balance, and I don't want to make it sound like I do this all the time, because it's only happened a couple times. But, you know, you can go in there and set your white balance. You find something you think is either neutral or is close to white or something like that in Lightroom, set it on that one image, and then just copy it to all the others, and it gets it, you know, pretty darn close. Now, like Tim says, I do, under challenging light, I do bring a gray card. So if I'm shooting a softball game and it's later in the evening, it's going to be those stupid sodium lights that give that horrible yellow cast. I bring a gray card because that's going to be. I may not have a good option to set the white balance later on, but if it's is daytime, I typically leave my white balance at 5600. Just leave it there, and that way I know all my images have the same white balance, and I can find one of them that I can correct and copy it to all of them, and post. It's just my way of doing it.
No, I agree. And I don't think you necessarily need to go out and purchase a gray card and always keep it like on you and stuff. I feel like, sometimes you are not in that situation where like you can have your gray card and stuff. I mean, like when you're out on vacation, are you going to like carry your gray card like in your wallet? I mean, like, maybe you will. I mean, maybe that's, like, something someone should create, like a gray card that can fit in your wallet. I don't know.
Well, I have actually 3 gray cards that are funny. The gray is not the same in each one of them. It's kind of odd. If you bought Scott Kelby's Lightroom book, in the back of the book, there's a gray card.
Yeah.
But it's amazingly close to white. It's not that gray. I have a real gray card I got from Wolf Camera after I told them what a gray card was, and they had to go look it up somewhere in the back. Yeah, they had to go get the manager because no one on the floor had ever heard of a gray card.
What?
At this camera store.
Oh, that's scary.
I understand if my wife doesn't know what a gray card is, but these people at a camera store should know. So I have those 2, and then I got this thing called a Weibel. You ever heard of that? It's these little like business card size. There's a white, a black, and a gray, and they're like business card size. They're about twice as thick as a credit card, so they're a little pretty thick. You couldn't put them in a wallet, but you could put them in. They easily would fit in a camera bag, and they're pretty small.
Right.
But as far as manual, we're talking about manual mode. Would y'all recommend somebody, if you're on auto, would you recommend they go straight to manual, or maybe something in the middle like I am with aperture? Just go hardcore. Go straight to manual.
No, I would never, ever recommend that to anybody. I mean, that's how people get frustrated, and that's how people get turned away from it, and will always result in auto. I mean, I definitely feel like you should gradually go into it and stuff. And so I definitely think, like, I don't know, like program or, aperture, one of those settings would be probably best to start out in.
All right, Ashley, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know our 5-minute conversation last time lasted 45.
Oh, no, it's fine. I did see that someone asked where I went to school.
Oh, okay.
And stuff. So I'm going to answer that just because I don't want to leave any questions unanswered. I went to school at Full Sail University. It's in Orlando, Florida. And it's actually a school that's directed more towards film and filmmaking, but we learned all the aspects of photography, and we actually took a lot of courses in photography. And I learned most of all of my stuff that you would learn in a photography school in a class called cinematography. So, yeah, it's basically the same.
Okay. Well, we'll be in touch and talk about when we can have you back on the show.
Yeah, I would love to.
I really appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, thank you for your time. It was very insightful.
And thank you for everybody out in chat. Thank you for coming out and listening to Ashley. I hope you learned something. I know I did. And like I said, make sure you go by and check out her photos.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah. So thanks out in chat. Good night, everybody out there in chat.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good night.